This is somebody I've had the pleasure to know for the last few months. This guy understands marketing and branding at a high level. And what I was starting to say was the reason he is so good at what he does is because he loves it. He loves branding, right? The first 20-minute call we had lasted an hour and 20 minutes because we started geeking out on what he loves so much, and I could tell he had such a passion for it. Obviously, he's helped Josh and some other people that we know in this room, but has worked with Russell Brunson, some other really high-profile guys on their campaigns, on their marketing and their branding. And he's one of those rare guys that understands branding conceptually, but also has an understanding of design and can actually do some of that stuff too. So he's kind of a unicorn in the branding world. He's running some amazing rooms on Clubhouse right now, some really awesome branding rooms. I've had the pleasure just to sit in those rooms and listen and soak up his branding knowledge. So let's put our hands together for Henry Kaminski, the brand doctor.
Thank you.
And we got special guests too.
Yeah, my two biggest fans are here today.
His wife and son are over here. His 3-year-old son, hey buddy, hey bud. So he's got extra support here. So
I love it, guys. All right, let me just make sure this is clicking away. Ooh. Okay, so I could stand up here and talk about branding and logos and websites and funnels and turn this room into Snoozeville, or I could talk about branding from a different perspective, one in a way that connects us all together. And what is that one thing? It's story. It's story. So I'm going to start the presentation with this quote right here. I survived because of those around me. So story has it that when my mother met my father, they were instantly in love, and they got married, and they tried to start a family right away. And as I was 5, 6 years old, I would hear my loud-mouthed Italian mother tell all of her girlfriends that I was her miracle baby. And I had no idea what that meant, and that it took 16 years to have me. Now, at 5, 6 years old, I thought women were pregnant for 16 years. God forbid. So, as I realized what that meant later on in life, it became the story that has gotten me to where I am today. And so medicine wasn't the way it was back then, and there was issues with my mother, there was issues with my father, and these two knuckleheads went at it for 16 years to try to start a family and continued to fail. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big tester, and if it's not working quick, I'm like, all right, we gotta figure something else out here, and we're gonna flip the script. So I don't know if I would do anything for 16 years and continue to fail and keep it moving. Well, medicine got a little bit better, and they figured out what was wrong. My mom went in for a small surgery. 9 months later, here I come, the miracle baby. And fast forward 2 years into that, my mom comes into my room, looks in the crib. I'm blue and unresponsive. She freaks out. They run me to the hospital, practically pronouncing me dead. Doctor comes in, figures out what's wrong, and saves my life. So, when I hear this story growing up, I say, you know what? I'm here on borrowed time. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to figure out this life. I'm going to try to help as many people as I can. So having survived through all of that, I knew I wanted to be successful. I wanted to make an impact on the world. But as a young kid, you're just trying to figure out life. And I was starting from scratch. Didn't know what to do, didn't know what to be. Unfortunately, a couple years later, about 8, 9 years old, my parents go through a horrible divorce. Couldn't believe it. 16 years trying to start a family. Almost loses me, 2 years old. That's it. My mom calls it quits. Didn't want to do it anymore. My father says, what am I going to do? I'm not going to leave this kid on his own. So he raises me by himself. And so I struggled a lot as a kid. I became extremely insecure. I had this uncle who was mega rich. I had a father who was a shop mechanic at UPS for 33 years. I wanted to be like Uncle Joe because he was like lifestyles of the rich and famous. But my father was a shop steward, hustling 4 jobs just to make sure that there was food on my table and clothes on my back. So I had an identity crisis, if you will. But I always wanted to be successful like Uncle Joe. So what did I do? I faked it till I made it. So I always had to have the nicest clothes, the nicest watch, the nicest car. I always had to be bragging about where I was going. Complete hollowness inside. Complete hollowness inside. As I get out of college, I start my corporate career. Uncle Joe gets me a job at the hospital locally. I start working my way up there. I said, this isn't for me. I get into design work. Start my own business as a graphic designer. 5 years in, wasn't feeling it. Hated my clients, hated the work that I was doing. And I started to self-sabotage myself. Just destroying the business, taking it down, one client at a time. Now, I got to tell everybody that I'm a failure. But I don't do that until wit's end. So everybody thinks I'm still living high on the hog. Meanwhile, I don't have 2 nickels to rub together. Now I got to tell that beautiful woman back there that I'm broke and in. I'll never forget the day. Sunday afternoon, she's watching Real Housewives of Orange County or whatever. And this husband is at lunch with his wife and has to tell the wife that he's bankrupt. So I'm sitting on the bed, she's sitting next to me, and I just turned the TV off, boom. And I said, Tori, I got to tell you something. I'm broke. And broke in. So all 100 pounds, 5 foot of her, looks at me, jumps off the bed, runs into my office, grabs the laptop, comes back into bed, opens it up, and says, let's get to work. Now I said, what are we getting to work on? Divorce attorneys? Or are we getting to work on helping me? I mean, what are we getting to work on? And she said, I didn't sign up for this, but I'm not going to leave you. I was here before you had the money, because I did fairly well in the beginning. But all money did for me was showcase more of my insecurity. And then until I didn't have any more. So she helped me refocus. And I started looking for help, okay? And who was the first person that I connected with? It was Russell Brunson. His story resonated with me. I knew I needed guidance in this space. So I went to him and I said, I heard you have this coaching program. So his salespeople were like, yeah, it's 25 grand. I'm like, I don't have 2 nickels to rub together, so this is out of my league. So they said, you know what, we have this $10,000 program at the moment. And I remember sitting there on the phone, and I said, it's not if this works, it's when this works that I will get out of this hellhole. I didn't have money, but I had credit. One thing my father said to always have is credit. So I always paid my bills. I always had credit. So I slapped down $5 grand on the card, and I owe him $5 grand over the next couple of months. I get on my first call with Russell Brunson. 20 minutes into the conversation, we're both hysterical crying. because he can resonate with my story. On the spot, this man hires me for $6,000 to help him with design work. That engagement turns into a 2.5-year engagement to where I am now helping him brand ClickFunnels. 6 months after that, that business turns into a $100 million business. Fast forward a little bit. Now I'm starting to get my chops back. Starting to see my bank account grow. I'm still insecure. So now, ironically, me and my wife try to start a family. We can't. I got problems that won't allow him to be born. So, we go through 2 rounds of IVF. I'm not a huge fan of it. Thought it was super forced. Didn't think that it was written in my book of life. But it worked. 2.5 years later, this guy shows up in my life, but my insecurities are still there. So what do? I hit the explode button again. And I go completely financially nuts. I go and buy a $200,000 car. I go and buy 2 big watches just to get my mind off of this responsibility and this fear of becoming a father. Because my story was, you will never be the father that your father was to you. And that hit me. So now this one wasn't having it again. She said, I'll do it once. But you brought this on yourself the second time, intentionally. She said, you got to fix this. And so, big lesson here was, I got rid of the car, took a beating. Took me 2 weeks just because my ego was so far up my you-know-what to get the watches back to the jeweler to get, a fraction of the money I paid for them back. But I remember driving down Route 80 and calling my father and telling him, you know what, Don? Giving those watches back weren't that hard. It didn't sting as bad as I thought it was going to sting. And he said, are you done? And I said, with what? So I still had a little bit of an attitude. And he said, this. He said, I raised you by myself. I worked 4 effing jobs to make sure you had food on the table and clothes on your back. He said, what are you going to do one day when Dante comes to you and says, Daddy, can you buy me these pair of sneakers? And you can't because you don't have the money because you pissed it away. He said, I didn't do that to you, so don't do it to him. That day, my life changed forever. And I learned it was all selfish. And the way that I was going to achieve success in life was by helping others, which brings the story full circle back when I was a little kid. So once I had that goal, I had a whole new set of hills to climb. I had to figure out my business, figure out how to scale it, figure out how to replace myself, figure out what the hell was going wrong before I could start getting traction again. And the way I overcame them became my process. See, I like to test things on myself first before I feel comfortable sharing them with the world. And this process is 3 simple steps. First, I had to figure out and diagnose what the hell was going on with me. Why was I continuously letting my insecurities and fear get the best of me? So I went and I found help with that. I got therapy. I got a mindset coach. Instead of running from those skeletons in my closet, I turned around and I said, why are you here? And how can I help you? And I started facing them. Completely different story. Once I owned those and figured out where those were coming from, Then I could prescribe a strategy to help me through all of that head trash. Now I could apply that into business and start getting my business back into a healthy state. And then the last step is applying those strategies and executing. Because like somebody said yesterday, nothing happens until you do. We could sit here all day for a week and a half and strategize. But if we don't go home and take action, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so those are the 3 steps. So now, when I was able to successfully do that for myself, I then was able to do it for my clients. So now this process of turning personal stories into brands is my life's work. And I am a practitioner of it. This is why I'm doing this today. Okay? I'm the brand doctor because the brand doctor helps people. That's what doctors do. And I've done this for people like John Bon Jovi, helping him with 2 world tours. Russell Brunson, helping him get ClickFunnels branded and communicating and articulating that value to his customers. I've worked with NFL players like Brandon Copeland. He just signed with the Atlanta Falcons last week. I met him when he was playing for the Jets. Now he's doing big things with Amazon and the NFL Foundation. I worked with celebrity chef Fabio Viviani. He's opened up about 88 restaurants across the country, and he's got about another 60 to do this year. This guy's a machine. And we were able to build his personal brand into that story that led him into those deals. I'm here because of them. I'm here because of people like you. We would not be in this room if we didn't want to make this world a better place. And I'm a firm believer of that. Quality attracts quality. And that's why we're all here today. So Henry, what's in this for me? Great story. Well, you're somewhere in your personal story right now. Because that's your life. You're already living your brand. All you need to do is use a few of these things. All right? We got to diagnose first, don't we? That's your brand strategy. So let me ask you a few questions. Question number 1, what got you into this business in the first place? Question number 2, what higher mission are you on? Question number 3, what makes your business different from the rest? Why would somebody believe that? And what's your story that makes you credible? I forget who it was. I think it was Damon yesterday talked about social proof and testimony and leveling up the quality of your brand aesthetic or your brand identity through video production. I was shaking my head like this. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Preach. But that's what makes you credible. Now, prescribe the strategy. What's your marketing and funnel strategy look like? How will you create more brand awareness for your business? What's your attention strategy? So who's your audience? What platform are they on? What's your platform strategy? I got a couple extra minutes here, so I'm going to go into one real quick that helped me generate $500,000 in about 14 months. I went on LinkedIn, bought Sales Navigator for $80, started dialing in and filtering in who I wanted to work with, who I thought were rock stars in their industry, reached out to them manually and said, been following you for a minute. Love what you're doing. I want you to come on my podcast. Bring them on the podcast, highlight them, showcase them, do a little video helping them promote the show. Then, when I got big names on the show like Dean Graziosi and Russell and these guys, I would take that video and I would run ads against it towards their audience. Major exposure. Not only for them, but now for me. all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls a month or two later. Henry, been watching your stuff lately. Not bad. I think I need your help. I can't clearly articulate the value to my audience. My brand identity looks like hell, and it's outdated. I think I might need a rebrand. You seem to be pretty tuned in to the funnel world. I don't know what that is. It sounds scary. Sounds a little spammy. Can you guide me? Sure. And that's how I generated the business. So, audience, platform strategy. No one here would ever go to war without a plan of attack, would you? You'd be dead before you even poked your head out of that foxhole. So why would you run your business that way? Too many people want to get to the sexy stuff like the funnels and the logos and the websites, but they don't have a strategy. They don't have a brand strategy, a marketing strategy. They don't even know who the hell they're talking to. So how could you design anything or build anything without that? What behavior do you wish to change in your audience? What goals do you want to achieve with your funnels? You guys seem like numbers guys. So what's the metrics of success that you're going to use to track all of this? That's your prescription, okay? And then we have to apply it. So your business growth strategy. Question number 1, what is your top priority goal for revenue? What action plan are you going to take? What will this action do for your brand to achieve this goal? I love what Sean said yesterday. Nothing matters without a purpose and a vision. It's beautiful. I loved it. What efficiencies internally can you optimize to make this happen? How long is all this going to take? When you apply what I just gave you and answer those questions truthfully, you're going to reap the benefits of brand authenticity because you're going to be able to tell your story better than anybody. You're going to be able to articulate the issues and challenges and pains of your audience better than they can do it themselves. And that's when they just pull the checkbook out and say, how much do I owe you to make this go away? One of my colleagues said, Henry, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the painkiller or the vitamin? What do you think somebody's going to buy first? And then he used the splitting headache example. When you got a splitting headache, you don't care if it's $100 for that pill. If that pill is going to make that headache go away because you can't see, you're going to pay the $100. So, your story is your brand. And so I just want to share this with you. And it's the why behind it all. So, now that that little guy is here, my purpose is a little different. Okay? There's going to be a day where this guy is going to say, who the hell is this brand doctor guy that I keep hearing about? And he's going to Google Daddy's name. He's going to watch things. He's going to read things. He's going to listen to things. And so today's work is to pave the path for that guy. So he has stepping stones to life that I didn't have. So everything I do today is to make that guy proud and that woman proud tomorrow. I've been blessed. I'm here on borrowed time, and I'm not going to waste it. Thank you.